All right, we are live for another episode of Real Estate Junkies podcast here at 8 a.m. Eastern with Brian Ernst. He is a best-selling author of the book Half Millionaire Real Estate Agent. He is also a success coach and also has an organization here at EXP Realty. Brian, thank you for being on the podcast. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
For sure, for sure. So tell us a little bit, give us a brief intro to your journey into real estate. How'd you get into real estate?
How did I get in real estate? I wanted to get out of my previous job. That's it wasn't anything brilliant. It wasn't like tactically planned out that I was going to build a business. And I was just working a job I didn't like.
What'd
And
you
um, okay, so I interned with the Secret Service, United States Secret Service in college, and then I was working in the car business, just waiting to go into federal law enforcement, and it just.
Wow.
I mean, I went back and was going back to grad school too. And I really did not like the car business. So I don't know. I actually was trying to apply to become a loan officer at the time. And I drove past a real estate office, and that was actually a family member's office. And I'm like, don't we have a family member that has an office in real estate here? And yeah, he did. So I got in front of him. He's a cousin of mine. And I started selling real estate. That was 20 years ago. And it's not brilliant. I just got into it. And I knew I could sell. I didn't know anything about running a business. I didn't know anything about, I thought, I don't even know what I thought. I didn't know what I was doing. It took me quite a few years to figure out how to actually run a real estate business and what to actually do with it. Because, it's like, to me, it's a Zig Ziglar quote. Anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly until you can get it down pat. So I knew enough to be, decent at it. But the housing recession kicked in fairly shortly into my career. And that's where I had to relearn everything. That's where I had to relearn the whole business from scratch. And that changed my whole, the whole trajectory of my career, because I just learned that.
You started into 01, 2000, around?
It was 2000. It was 2003.
2003.
20 years
and
ago.
it's amazing. A lot of the people that I got on the podcast who's fairly successful or very successful, they all started around that same time. I don't know why. A lot of people and they lasted through the.
If you survived through it, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Most people didn't survive.
Yeah,
through it. They left.
And people who did survive, they are very successful to me. Seem like, and all of them except for one exception, Austin Chevron. Who didn't have real estate plan, right? Like most of those people that I have interviewed so far that are highly successful now, they never planned to get into real estate. It was just another way out of their current situation.
Right.
Austin, his father was a real estate agent. He kind of grew up in the real estate household, and he knew this was it, right?
Yeah.
But he still has an interesting journey into how he became successful. But when you first started, not knowing the business, right?
Yeah.
Of course, most people that get started, they have this paycheck to paycheck mindset and deal to deal, just going out there, sell houses. How was your journey like? What did you do to get clients in the beginning, and what was that experience like before that recession hit?
It was pretty simple. I had no money, so it was referrals and open houses. It was any way that I can get in front of people. And I didn't know a lot of people. Like I wasn't getting a ton of business for referrals because I'd worked a job that clientele didn't quite transfer over. And I just moved. So it was referrals and open houses. So every weekend I was out there in front of literally my neighbors, and I was just doing open houses in my own neighborhood if I could. But that was the thing. I mean, I knew how to convert a lead to a certain degree. Especially before the housing recession, because you could get anybody done. I mean, you could get a loan from, you're late on your current mortgage payment, car payment, whatever. Yeah, we'll get you done. I don't know if they can make their second mortgage payment. But it was a whole different time.
Yeah.
It was getting in front of people.
So what would you say? What would you say your first year that you felt like, you know what, I could do this. This could probably work out after you started.
Let's see here. When I got into it, probably the second half my first year I got in the business. I kind of wasted the first 6 months. I didn't know what I was doing, the direction I was going,
Mhm.
the advice I was given. I was all over the place. But I kind of, within about 6 months, about the 6 month period, I was like, all right, the next 6 months, I knew the basics. I knew what I needed to do. I
Mhm.
knew a lead generation source or
Yeah.
two, which was
Yeah.
really just do an open house as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just took off from there. And then
Mhm.
once I had enough money coming in, then I started putting that money into marketing, investing back in myself.
Mhm.
And then that took off
Yeah.
great.
Wow.
And, I'm making six figures. I was in my 20s, and it's like, yeah, this is great. A few years later, the housing recession kicked in, and that's where it changed.
So
So,
what was that experience like? What changed for you, and how did you have to change your business model or the way you were operating?
oh, geez, I had to cut my expenses, but I didn't cut my expenses fast enough, so I burned through all my money.
Wow.
I remember December of 2007, I had 30 listings, and I couldn't get a showing. Couldn't get a showing on 30 listings, and I set
Tickets, right?
all.
Like you turn on the showing. Well, they didn't have showing time app. You turn on
No.
the showing time app. There's a cricket emoji.
Oh, there's nothing coming in, and it was just brutal because I had set the wrong expectations. I mean, that's the other thing in life, setting the right expectations. So I did not set the right expectations with my clients, so they're expecting it to get sold for a lot of money, and it's how you set this up, and that's one of the reasons why I passionate about teaching like listing presentations and setting the right expectations. So it makes your life so much easier, and you can get through a deal so much quicker
Mm,
with less time in front of your client. So you can do more deals, and they're happier in that process.
yeah,
It's just a lot of mistakes that I made,
yeah,
and just adapting to the new market and making sure that everybody's on the same page, and it's not letting my clients drag me around. It's like, no, here's the program. This is how it works. This is, if you want to work with me, the this is how I
setting
work.
that right expectation and setting that standard of service. Yeah, yeah,
And then stop working with certain people that just didn't get it. They were going to do whatever they wanted to do. We're going to waste my time. So it's just qualifying people
hmm
way better, and not being afraid to lose. Well, eh, I'm probably afraid to lose people. It took me probably a few years after that. Then I wasn't afraid to lose people because I knew the pain of it.
the
I knew the pain of
confidence.
that
Yeah,
age, that just that client just driving you nuts, wasting way more time than you're showing. How many houses now? You're showing 20, 30, 40, 50. No, 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 no. You can do that way less than that. That's if you're getting that category, yeah, we got to talk. So I just learned, and I didn't learn it alone. I learned it from other people, and I learned it from different trainers, different coaching programs. And that's when I started actually getting into coaching other agents too, because I figured if I'm going to grow, who else wants to grow with me? And I was just going to be in charge of it essentially. So that's when I really became a manager and started coaching in the office that I was in. And that's what helped me, is teaching
Mhm.
other people what I needed to know.
Yeah,
Because if you don't do it enough, and I did a podcast with somebody yesterday about this too. If you just don't do it enough, you forget.
yep,
You just, okay, you learned this in this one training. That's a good advice. And I should do this, this, this. But if you don't do it every day, all the time, you'll forget. And I can't tell you how many times I've been on listing appointments where I'm like, I just went I went the wrong direction with this. Or, I let them steer the whole conversation in a different way. It's just going to waste my time here for the next hour. I'm not going to move forward with these people. So, there's a lot of pain that goes into this,
yeah, yeah,
and I think it can be avoided. That's another reasons why I coach agents, is because I know the pain of it. And I just want to help you avoid that pain. Let's bypass the pain. You don't have, but if you want to do it the hard way, then
yeah,
make sure you have somebody to go to when you're going through that pain to say, okay, now this is what you need to do if you don't want to do that again. So I always just back things up right from the beginning to figure out, where did that start? How could I avoid it on the next one? So I adapted fairly quickly in the
mhm,
housing market,
yeah,
the housing recession. But it's just the market didn't pick up that quickly. But I set the right expectations. I changed a lot of how I did things. And the conversion rate that I had was very low to incredibly high for the time.
yeah.
So it's learning from people who know how to do
Yeah.
it.
So what was the source? You mentioned a little bit that you got into coaching programs. What was the source? You see, uh, times like that, right? Especially recession. I mean, we're not probably 1/10 of that situation now, right? It's a lot of confusion. You don't know what to do. Everything you're doing not working, right?
Right, right,
and
right.
and what was the source of direction for you from there? Like, how did you create focus in a time like that?
Well, I was broke, so that was pretty motivating. I mean, we got bills to pay. I think maybe it was ego thing that was involved with it too, just self-worth, just
Make
self-esteem,
you
just kind of like
have to make it work. I
you
can't
got
go
to
to
make this
another job.
work,
Yeah.
and it was a singular focus, and that's where I see a lot of agents having trouble too. They have so many multiple focuses.
Mhm.
Okay. Not only another job, but then they're trying to help buyers, then sellers, and then they're trying to attract agents into their organizations, and then they're trying to do this and then this, and it's like, no, 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 focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And all I focused on was listings. That was my whole focus, listings. The buyers were just the bonus, but
Mhm.
but their buyers had to be the buyers I wanted them to be, the way,
Mhm.
literally I would show people just a handful of houses, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses they bought, we moved forward, because I already had that set up.
Yeah.
That, people would come to me, Brian, do people usually look at 2, 3 houses and buy a house? I'm like, you didn't look at 2, 3 houses. You looked at thousands of houses online over the past year. Let's be honest. And you ruled it down to this area, and you want your kids to go in this school, and these are the floor plans you want, and these are the choices. And you knew you were going to have to update some of these places, and this is why we're here.
Yeah. That's
So yeah, people usually do buy houses like this because you've done the research. Because I had them set up very, very well from the
yeah.
beginning. And it's like, I wish I would have known this right from the beginning. Because it's not just like, oh, I just show them houses and okay, here you go. All right. How does it work from here? I always amazed how agents make money doing that versus which one do you want to buy? Asking them, which one do you, oh, don't pressure me, Brian. What do you mean pressure you? You came out to buy houses. You got pre-approved. It took forever to get that whole process done. You ruled it down to this. Your lease ends at this time. And you're saying, I'm pressuring you. I'm just asking the question. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask the question. Do you want to buy the house or not? You don't want to buy it,
Yeah.
So
It's
some of
amazing
these,
you say this. I say this, I teach the same thing, picking a niche, identifying an ideal audience, marketing yourself that way. And all the other business, you're not going to avoid that business. Let's just say you're going after sellers, you market yourself going after sellers, and you're still going to get buyers. You still
yeah,
get
oh yeah.
investors.
Well, the
You're still
sellers
going
got
to
to live somewhere. They got to
yeah.
live somewhere. Sell their house.
Yeah.
And I'd rather work with sellers that have to buy versus, people are just kind of like, well, I don't have to move. We don't have to sell. Oh, I don't have to sell your house either. I don't have to work with you. I mean, do you want to do this or not? Okay. So it's really developing those relationships. And that is the challenge of anything.
Yeah.
Developing the relationships. You develop those relationships, it goes much quicker. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be best friends with these people in the world. It just matters that you come across as trusting and professional. They'll listen to you. You understand their needs, their concerns fully.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I always had different checklists, different questionnaires that I would ask to make sure I was on track with what they wanted.
Yeah.
And when they went off course, kind of pulled them back in. You
You
said
know
you
the
wanted
track.
this, this,
Yeah.
this. This
You
is
have
not.
identified the track. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of choices in real estate. There's not a lot of specific direction that people are necessarily given.
Yeah.
I'm just figuring out what they want, point them towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of like, which one?
Yeah.
So it takes some time to go through it over and over. And that's why I think anything that you really want to do, just keep doing it, even if you're not doing it at the highest level. So you start asking better questions on how to do it better. But I prefer singular focuses on things.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer just selling listings. Okay. Mm-hmm. And buyers, eventually I hired on, and I had quite a few different buyers agents that worked for me. And then I built different teams too. But it's really the listings. I mean, you can do a really, really great business just doing listings. And that's where it gets into my book, the half millionaire. A lot of people are like, oh, half, what's half? And it's like,
hey, at least get to half first so you can go to the full.
Well, I mean, look at the statistics on who can make 500,000 versus who makes $1 million in real estate. The numbers are disproportionate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would statistically we'd rather make $500,000 a year, or the odds go really down for $1 million?
Yeah.
And now when you're half, you can build up. It's just there's a certain level that you can get to before you need more leverage.
Yeah.
You need more people to do this. And really it's like, everybody has their different opinions. 36 deals a year, 40, maybe even 50 deals by yourself before you need some serious leverage. I mean, I went above those numbers at times, and it was just me. But then again, I was willing to do this every waking hour of the day, and I wouldn't recommend that either. Okay, I wouldn't recommend that. Um, but you can make a good amount of money just doing this yourself. You
Mhm.
really can. And
Yeah.
then it gets into the whole different business. I'm managing people, hiring people, training people, consulting with the agents. And that is just so time consuming, because you're taking on problems that you may not have signed up for, because it's their problems and it's your business and how they handle your business. So I don't know. You have to make that decision if those are the challenges that you want in growing. And I don't think most people think that, believe
Yeah.
in that. It's
Yeah.
it's okay. What problems do you want moving forward? Yeah, you got your goals. Yeah, you big goals. That's fantastic. I love big goals, but
Mhm.
are you ready for the problems? And some people can say, Brian, you're being negative, and maybe I am. I could say it's challenges. I could say it's whatever. But let's be honest. Anywhere you go, anything you do in life, there's going to be a problem associated with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Building your business, you'll have different problems. That's why I focus on pick a track and
Mhm.
stay on this track. Okay. Or else then you have the problem of, buyer problems, seller problems, renter problems, commercial deal problems, recruiting problems. I'm just saying recruiting. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are all the different challenges. Pick one, master that. You can make a lot of money in any one of those things.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's really ask better questions too. Asking better questions on how to solve those problems,
Yeah.
and do it as much as you can do it so that you remember it. And that's why I was coaching people too. So I would remember each way, because there's things I would do on a listing
Mhm.
that I would just forget because it didn't come up enough. The objection didn't come up enough where I knew how to handle it just
Yeah.
like that, no problem. Then I realized once I'm teaching it to people, I was ready for it. Like I may not even use the objection handling technique with somebody, but I taught it so many times it came up and I just used it, versus I learned it in a class and then never used it again.
Yeah.
So
So before we get into your book
yeah.
and your coaching experience and all of that, that since after recession, we all know what was the market like, right? And when it was coming up, 2012, 2014, right? Uh, when did you decide to start a team from there?
Well, I always, when I had enough leads, and I had enough listings, I always picked up. I always had some buyer's agent usually working for me to handle that, because I was leaving money on the table. I wasn't handling all the buyers. Like some years, it's like majority of my deals were just listings. Like I didn't even care where they went to. It's like I didn't want to worry about that problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they went through me because I sold their house, yeah, those were the obvious ones. But the other leads coming in, I just kind of, I'm not. If they weren't going to do it my way, maybe I was a little too strict with them or whatnot. But it's just like I'm moving forward. I need to do this stuff, and that it worked out very well with that. Most people will be like, "Oh my gosh, you're leaving money on the table." Yeah, I know. That's why I picked up a buyer's agent, handed the leads to them, and
So
going
it
through
was
that.
kind of like an informal team, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
uh, the buyer's agents always were,
yeah,
they split everything with me. But then again, I gave them all the leads too.
yeah.
And when I get into actual team building, we're probably going back about, probably more like 10 years ago, where I really started to, okay, let's put some people
2012,
together.
2013.
And that was a process of that. Okay. And it got to the point where I had to really switch brokerages to do what I wanted to do. I mean, I could have done what I wanted to do where I was, but just wasn't encouraged. It wasn't, oh, that doesn't work. It's building
The
teams don't
environment,
work.
yeah, the environment was just like,
The
oh,
environment's not
agents,
there.
yeah, okay,
And I want to be around people who are doing what I was doing. And I think that's so important. I like the Jim Rohn quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. who are you spending time with that's doing what you want to do, and how can you get around those people? How can you learn from those people? What do you need to? And that's what I did. I switched brokerages, and I, to learn. And I learned a lot of good things, and I got in some bad situations too, because that's the thing. You move up, there's new challenges.
Different level, different devil, huh?
Right. And it was just like, I was learning so much so fast. It was just like, I wish I would have learned this before. And that's that. If I had a regret, it's like, I wish and that information was out. A lot of the information was out there. I wish I would have learned this before, but maybe I wasn't ready for it, but I just didn't. I probably was ready for it sooner than I actually got it. It's just, I wasn't in the right environment for that. And I think that's so important, to surround yourself with the right people, so that you want to change your directions. You want to do something different. You want to do something more, grow. Those people are there to encourage you, support you, point you in the right direction, have decent advice, have, you want the right support team. That's really what it is. Yeah. And I mean, that's in my book too. It's just like, have the right support team, not just your family, your friends, but also your coworkers, your colleagues. Have that right. And when I say team, it can mean a lot of things, but just the people you associate with.
Yeah. And starting the team, what encouraged you to finally write the book, and how long ago was that you wrote the book?
Well, I probably wrote the book, probably over 10 years ago. At least the basic
around that time, right?
But I didn't publish it. I really didn't publish it. I was actually using this in trainings. I was training people with these things. And then I want to say that came out. It was EXPCon right before everything closed down. So that was what?
So before 2020.
Fall of 2019.
2019.
I released. Actually, I actually had three #1 international best-selling books come out. 2 were real estate, and one was for agents, one was for sellers, because sellers were driving me nuts, asking the same question: what's your commission? What's the price of my home? And those are the wrong questions in my mind that a seller should be asking right up front, because that gets agents to say, I'll tell you a high price and a low commission, I'll get the listing, and then get you hopefully to drop the price, or just you're sitting on a listing. That was just such a game. It's like, you're asking the wrong question. The question should be this: how can you net me more money at the end of the day than anybody else? Oh, that's a better question.
No.
How can I net? Because that's what it is. What do you put in your pocket at the end of the day? And people think, oh, less commission's better. Yeah, but if I can get you 5% more than somebody else can get you, really?
How can you get me the most exposure for my property, right, on the market,
right,
compared to everyone else, right?
That's it's a better question. And I literally wrote a book on it to give to sellers, so that read the book. It's like, read the book, you be better prepared to sell your house. You have this expectation set up better. And to me, like the book for real estate agents too, it's just, to me, it's expectations. Like, if you're not doing some of these basic things some of the basic things I write in there, and you're not having success at all because you're not doing some of the basics. So let's just start with the basics. Let's just get this. Not everybody uses every part of my book, but that's kind of the secret of it, is putting it all together.
So what was the thought process behind publishing the book? We get it, right? Me and you probably get it, but maybe the audience doesn't get it. Maybe real estate agents out there don't see the value in it.
Well, the first thing was, a lot of people would ask me, how do you do what you do? And it's like, how do I explain that? Is this just a casual conversation? Are we talking about the weather here? I mean, this is a big conversation here. It's like
30 years of explanation.
Here's the book. It's not like, yeah, here's the book. Let's just start with that. Why did I actually do this? Here's another thing too with the book, and this helped me to really, it was to build a coaching program. Now, that wasn't the real goal. That was the
outcome of doing it, right?
Well, it was building a bench for my team, so that whenever I lost a team member, I could take somebody from my coaching program, offer them an opportunity to be a part of my team, or to try out to be on my team, or see if it's a good fit. And they're in a paid coaching program. Okay. So the cost made sense to spend my time doing some of that stuff. and they were already getting trained, and they knew the philosophies that I was teaching, the techniques that I was teaching. So they understood what I expected from them, and I understood what they were going to do. So everybody on my team had been in my coaching program at some point, and that was the idea of it. And I just did that in Illinois, and I taught a class in EXP world, and this is the time that like EXP world was so small. Like the broker room was just you get out of the elevator and that was it. There was a couple little muted line rooms, or it's just one room. That was it, one room. So, and you're just standing up. There was no seats. It's just. I just remember that. And somebody said, "Why don't you invite some of the other states?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure." We invited Texas in to the Illinois State broker room, and they broke the room. Well, we broke the room because we put so many people in. It wasn't set up for that at the time. So I was teaching with EXP University. It just kind of snowballed with EXP all across the country on things. And I'm just trying to help people, really it was just to build a coaching program for my team. And then it kind of morphed into a different animal, which was fine. It was fine with me. And just working with agents, and I had worked with agents across the country doing a lot of different mastermind programs through, the past 15 years even. And just learning what people did across the country, where people can share information that they're not worried about you're going to use it against them and compete with them. It was just so enlightening, because when I first got in real estate, I was like, nobody's telling me their secrets of how they do this. Nobody's sharing anything unless you're paying them a lot of money. And even then, some of the advice I got 20 years ago was like, I don't know if that was the best advice. Like they were teaching how to do listing presentations in 20 minutes flat. And it's like, how do you build a rapport? How do you
basically car salesman approach, right? Like
wow, it was kind of like, all right, here's the price of your home, here's commission, sign here. And they're like, what? All right. And then you walk out the door to the next appointment. Well, how'd you get the next appointment? Oh, you just cold call people, see if they want to sell. And okay, that sounds awful. That sounds brutal. And I just didn't want to do it that way. So that's it too much rejection. And that's the thing. I want that kind of rejection. That's hard to live that life. What business are you building for 10 years from now? What's that business going to look like? And if you don't enjoy it, then don't build that business. Build something different. And my advice to anybody out there is work with the people that really you want to work with. Work with the type of people that you want to work with, the people who will listen to you, the people who respect you, the people who refer you to other people so your business can grow. Because that's so huge when somebody else says, oh yeah, you should use Brian. He is just fantastic. He will take care of everything. He took care of all this for us. We had these problems that we never thought would come up. He made sure they were handled. He gave us advice. That this is what you want somebody else to promote you. That's really what you want. Pick those people, add those people. And then when you have the real headache people, don't take them on but you have to have enough business. That's the secret of this, is have enough business that you can say no to people. You can say, I'm at capacity at the moment for taking on new business. I'll give you a call. And I know some people who have done that too in the past. They only take so many clients. Now, it's not the business model I would ever want to run, but they only take so many clients at a time, and they put people on a wait list. Yep, I'll put you on my wait list. And as soon as I have, free up and have space for another client, I will let you know. Everybody has different techniques.
Okay. So before we get into the book and what's in it, I do want to briefly talk about that. When was it that you decided to come over to EXP? At what situation were you in at the time, and what made you decide to come to EXP?
Well, I spent 14 years at Remax, and then I switched to Keller Williams, and I learned a lot. Keller Williams has some great education, but the culture I did not agree with. I mean, I didn't fit with my personality. And I just wanted to learn as much as I could because they had such great education. But there's a culture there that I really wanted my own culture. I wanted my own business. I was going to open up my own brokerage, essentially.
Yeah, why not that? Why didn't you go open your own brokerage?
Well, that's a real simple answer. I didn't want the work of it. I didn't want the work of the liability of a bunch of agents that didn't know what they were doing going out there, and I'm the liable one essentially for it. And I didn't want to have to keep track of them because manager in a Remax office for a long time. I was used to seeing the stupidity of agents, of just the goofy things they would do that the broker would have to deal with. And I was a manager in the office, so I at times I had to deal with some of that stuff too. And it's just like, this is babysitting adults. I didn't want to deal with all the paperwork and stuff like that too, of every single deal. Do I need an actual office, a physical office for this? I didn't want to be. So EXP was kind of the answer for that, because I do whatever I want. I can do what I want to do within EXP's, platform. And that's how I looked at it. EXP was a platform to run my business.
Yeah.
I didn't look at EXP was everything and they were going to do everything for me or anything. No, it just, to me, it was run your business. The things that I was concerned with, it wasn't an issue with EXP. With some brokerage, it could be. It was an evolution for me. It was just like that.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to evolve to.
Natural progression of things.
Yeah.
Growing into, okay.
If I'm going to win or lose, it's on me. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine. And I was at that point in my career that I didn't really want to go deal with the state of Illinois and open a brokerage, and I just didn't want to do that kind of stuff. So I could do the same exact thing with EXP.
Yeah, any agent can, actually. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Any agent can do what a broker does in a different brokerage, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, they can. They sure can. And that's, whew, that's, I know agents who do that, and they don't have a clue what they're doing, and they open their own brokerage and they don't have a clue what they're getting themselves into. But then that's the focus. How are you making money? Okay. You open a brokerage. How are you making money? I mean, Remax wanted to sell me a franchise. I don't care, for so long. It's like, let's break down the business model. You want me to spend how much money to buy the franchise, and then the franchise fees I got to pay, and the renewals every other year of how much? I need 25 agents in production paying their bills to get to that point. Anybody who's recruited 25 people who's never never run a brokerage before, and you got to get that done how fast? You need that now to even open it. Oh, hey, want to join my brokerage? It's not open yet, but I'm thinking about doing that. Come on, that's tough. I was like, there's no way this would. And they actually came to me when I was at Keller Williams. They came to me when I was EXP, and it was just kind of humorous, because I said, all right, this is what I have right now. Show me how this competes with this. And they're like,
Someone asked me about a partnership recently. It's been a year I came to EXP, right? So they're asking me, we just having, we get these coffees and lunches and breakfast with other agents and other team owners and other brokers. And he was casually just throwing it in there like, hey, you should maybe consider, right? Like, very bad pitch. But I was like, sure, I'll actually, I grabbed onto his pitch. I was like, sure, I would love to consider it. Like, show me how this beats the model that I'm with. Right, I'm completely open. Like, open door policy. Just pitch me. Like, show me how this is going to be better.
Yeah, I've had quite a few of those conversations, and I've had those conversations with people who are joined different brokerages after EXP that were different, similar, and I'm like, all right, at some point, this is just like, this is stupid. All right, this is where I'm at. I'm not. It's enough of a hassle switching brokerage in the first place. Your branding that's out there, your marketing, which you need to remove out there on the internet, which is a pain in the butt to do. Look, I don't need another job to do that kind of stuff. So let's.
How has that experience been so far? Coming into EXP, what year was it you came into EXP?
It was about, am I in five and a half years?
5 years. Wow. So one of the pioneers. So how has that experience been? What were you able to accomplish? Was it beyond what you imagined, beyond your expectation? Not so much. Like, where are you?
All the above. All the above. Because it's on me. It's not on anybody else. It's on me. So it's been some of the greatest points in my career, and some of the most challenging points in my career too. 'Cause it's on me. I don't have anybody to fall back on in that aspect of like a broker that's, worried about their business within it. I would tell people EXP is not for everybody. And sometimes people need to hear that because they want things they can't have too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
to me, it's a platform for running your business. And you got to know how you want to run your business. That's the thing.
You got to want it for yourself. It's not, nobody's going to come wake you up. And if someone has to drive you, you got to be the driver.
Yeah. And I used to tell, originally we didn't really want to encourage as many new agents joining EXP because they come in, they didn't get it, and then they left. Okay. But then again, that's the business model of real estate business. It's very easy to get a license, but it's hard to run a real estate business because they don't teach that.
They don't teach
when
that.
You get a real estate license, and those statistics are appalling. How many people fail out of real estate?
85%, yeah.
Within a very, very short period of time. And if you knew those statistics ahead of time, would you have even gotten a real estate? I don't know that I would have gotten a real estate if I would have known those statistics.
I mean, neither.
I didn't know.
Thankfully.
And I've told people that too. Here's the stats on it. And they're like, what? Well, yeah, where do you think everybody becomes successful? All you have to do is get a license. That's not, it's like you get a medical license, but you have no education, you didn't go to medical school, you didn't do a residency, and now you're running a real estate business, just trying not to kill people or kill deals, or, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you need the education part. And that's part where I wrote the book too, that it's really to help agents do what they need to do and just survive. Here's some basics. This is stuff that every agent needs to know. And you can argue with me on any point in my book, but the stuff works.
Yeah.
It may not work the way exactly you want, because if you're not motivated to use it, then no, sure, it won't work. You're not going to be in on it. You got to believe in it. But some of the stuff is just basic stuff, but it's not what I want, an advanced course. Yeah. When good agents are not good anymore, do they need an advanced course? No, they need to go back to basics. This is actually very simple stuff. You have a buyer who wants to buy a house. You have a seller who wants to sell a house. Let's put that together. Yeah, but there's 20 something other people involved in that whole transaction. And that's just coordinating more of that stuff than anything else. The real estate business to me has nothing to do with real estate. It has to do with people, connecting people with what they want and getting through that process more than anything else.
Yeah.
So the book it's really, I want agents to be successful. I want to see that percentage change. And it's definitely within EXP. I don't want to see people leave because they just didn't find the success. So here's a book, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I literally give people the book. Here's a book. Will you read it? Yeah. Well, then here you go. I'll give you a book. Well, what's it cost? Wrong question. I gave you a book. It's free. Use it. Okay. Use the book.
So tell us a little bit now. I briefly read the summary of the book. I haven't read the book yet. So 52 secrets.
Yep.
You really share 52 secrets on how to do 20-hour work weeks to still do $500,000 in GCI in a year.
Well, it doesn't start at 20 hours. Let's be honest.
Okay.
It doesn't start at 500,000 either. Okay.
Yeah.
People get the wrong impression. I'm working part-time. I'd like to read your book and I'd like to do it. No. This is every waking hour of the day. You're building a business. You have to solve every single little problem here. And these are some of the basic, I say basic because it's the same stuff. Yeah. It's not basic. It's almost required. It's the most important things that you need to do. You need to have lead generation. Always. You need to know how to convert the leads. Always. You need to know how to follow up with them, retain them, close those deals, move them, get referrals, move on to the next thing. If people had better lead generation in real estate, even if they didn't have good lead conversion, then they have enough leads to choose from. Or heck, they could sell the leads if they had enough. That's the thing. You got to have that stuff in place. And I don't know how certain agents have survived, because if I have an agent who comes to me that's done 20 deals in a year, and I can bring them to 40 deals fairly quickly if they're willing to put the time and effort into it. But the funny thing is, I think it's harder to do less deals than more deals. If you do a deal a month, you forget more in that period of time than you actually learn. You need to be doing a deal a week easily to just stay on top of everything that's changing in the market. Just the techniques that you're using, good and bad, because not all techniques are used on every single transaction. Yeah. So that's, I encourage people to do more deals. And it's not just, how do you do more deals? I don't know, double your lead generation. Pretty simple, right? Yeah. You want to do double the business, double your lead generation. But yeah, that doubles your time too. But if you did a deal a month, how many hours are you working? Like if I did just a deal a month, I'd be bored out of my mind. I mean, how many hours a week am I doing a deal? Especially if it's listings, you're talking at, I don't know, an hour or two a week. I mean,
even less probably. Yeah.
Well, NAR statistic was handling, and this is an older one, it was 32 and a half hours to handle a buyer from start to finish. This is an older statistic. It changed. But at the same period of time, it took 8 hours to handle a seller. So you could do 4 listings for every buyer. Break that down. 8 hours over the course of let's just say
32 hours a week. Yeah. 4 hours.
If you just had one listing and you sold it, and over the course of a month, that's 8 hours. That's 2 hours a week.
And a lot of agents still struggle to do a listing a month, right?
Oh yeah, but that's not including lead generation. That's just the time it takes to handle the deal, and that's what most people don't realize. The majority of this job, in my opinion, is making sure the lead generation is out there, whether you're doing it actively or you're doing through marketing, through social media. There's so many different ways to do lead generation. Pick which way and master it. But it's not just one. You need multiple ways of lead generation because sometimes some work better than others, and you got to make sure that you're exposed to certain people. And I always pick your database and make sure that you get in front of that database at least 3 times a month in 3 different ways.
Yeah.
In 3 different ways. So it's like, oh, I see you here. I see you here. Okay. It's name recognition. It's branding. It's also that you're putting out there that you're having success.
Yeah.
This is what I'm selling. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. So you could sell mine too. It's just, and so many people just think I can just do this. Prove it. That's the marketing. Prove to people that you can actually do a good job for them. And that I think is a skill set in itself, just marketing.
Amazing. So right now, the way the market is, you have an experience 08, and we're almost coming into a close here. You had the experience with the 08 market, the way things just went down. We're nowhere close to there now, but it's still a more tougher market than what we did 08, 18, 19, right?
Sure, it changed.
What would you advise real estate agents out there that are maybe struggling right now to get business? What would be your, I don't know, 2 or 3 advice, or even 1 advice to agents?
Well, if they've been through, I don't know, past, let's just say 5 years in the business, they've had some really good opportunities, really good years where people would just, hey, I want to buy the house. I want to sell my house. And they're just coming right up to you if they knew you're in real estate. Yeah. And this is the thing, you just have to change not just change, you just got to adapt to it and understand that it's a buyer's market here. It's a seller's market here. It's just a matter of where the focus is. Now, I prefer just working with sellers, but if it's a buyer's market, it just changing the expectations with the sellers to say, this is where you're in, you need to move because of this. This is what I would recommend we do to get you from point A to point B. Yeah. Versus, I'll put a sign in your yard. We'll be done by the end of the week. It's all, and I try never to say that even when it's in that situation, because then I exceeded the expectations of things. So it's preparing people for that. It can go sideways.
The right expectation and standards, right? Is that what you're saying?
Say it again.
As a setting the right expectation with your clients, with the market. Okay.
And that you got to change that because and people don't think about that. They just think everybody thinks it's hot or it's great or it's no, it's how you set it up from the beginning. And I usually set it up like it's going to go sideways at any given point. It's going to go up, down. It's not going to go in the direction you want. So let's be prepared. And this is how we're going to adapt to it. And this is how we're going to beat the competition. And this is how we're going to win. Yeah. And, for the most part, it's pretty easy. But when you've seen it easier and it gets to harder, that's the part where people they're searching for new things. I'm going to get a new coach. I'm going to get a new this. I'm like, no, you got to do the basics again. You stopped doing the basics because you had so much business coming in. You're just handling the business, not doing your marketing, not doing your lead generation. And then you blame everybody else for it. Yeah. No, things go up, things go down. Things go up, things go down. That's okay. The market goes up and down. That's okay. You just got to be consistent, and you have to know your numbers, track your numbers, know your details of everything, understand the market, because I can look at any market analysis and I can say, all right, well, this is the direction we're going. Yeah. Okay. That one sold for 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. They're on the market for way less now. So you can't compare that. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing you give this advice. I started seeing this end of last year, right? I started talking to agents, and they're just like, "Oh, I need a new lead source and this new system and this new,
They didn't have a lead
thing,"
source, in my
you
opinion,
know.
to start with.
So every conversation, I started identifying, instead of like working on things that they should be working on in the first place, or not having a business plan in place, right? Like something so basic,
Oh
not
yeah, business plan.
not having your lead sources picked out and having a marketing plan for each lead source, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is nuts. Like in my head, like I'm like, are they like, and the new shiny object right now, right? The AI and the automation, right? Like, oh yeah, I need that, right?
Well,
That's
anything that's
probably why my business is not working.
anything that's the easy button. They just want the easy button. Hey, just hit the easy button. It takes care of your. Oh, it does it all for you. No, no, no. Look, this is this. No, it doesn't. You're learning a new technique, a new platform. You're learning different technologies, but it's got to go into the same core concept of getting in front of people to let them know that you're the best choice for buying or selling a home. That's
Yeah,
what it.
yeah.
That's all it is.
Mhm.
It's not complicated, but people are looking for every new idea to get ahead of everybody else. The
Yeah.
funny thing is, some of the oldest techniques are still some of the best.
Yeah.
Still some of the best techniques, and it doesn't change with time. Yes, the communication styles can change, the platforms, the way I prefer actual conversations versus a text message, because there's so little communication that comes through a text message. But some people have all their relationships through text messages, and it's like, no, it doesn't work for me. But the basic stuff is still there. So you gotta pick.
Your business, okay, the way you teach things, it's probably like the complete opposite spectrum of how I have built my business. Like, don't get me wrong, I took listings, probably over 300 listings over the last 10 years.
Great.
And I've been in business 10 years.
Great.
And but I don't know, like I teach buyer lead generation, like don't even go after sellers come automatically, like the
I'm
opposite
the
of what
complete
you're
opposite.
teaching.
Complete opposite.
Like,
Oh
hey,
my.
don't worry about the buyers, go after the sellers, buyers come no matter what, right? So
Right.
for me, it's like, go after the buyers, because of
Yeah.
I started in 2014, right?
Okay.
So sure, listings were available, everyone else was going after listing. I looked at it, I'm like, you know what, buyers are like just sitting around on like the sidewalk, like you could just grab them up, like whatever, like you're just driving by, like, okay, buyer, hop on, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where I started. So I stuck with it. What's working, just double down on it. And
Yeah.
selling over 100 houses a year, doing buyers, right?
If you enjoy it.
So what would you say in a market like that, right? Because of course your opinion is going to be biased, right? Because you prefer listing. But market like this, where nobody wants to sell, right? Like they don't have the motivation, interest rates are too high, they have a low rate.
Wait. Pull up the stats. Pull up the stats. How many listings are on the market? Is it zero? Is it zero homes?
No, of course
Oh,
not.
okay. It's all okay.
There
All
are
right.
people selling. Yeah.
Okay. So how many less listings are on the market compared to a year ago, percentage wise?
10%, maybe.
Oh, 10%.
Yeah.
Holy, come on. That's a lot of deals out there.
Yeah.
Okay. It didn't drop 90%.
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
It dropped. Yeah. You weren't, I tell this to certain people too. It's like, you weren't that good to get those in the first place. And those are deals you lost. Like, you could have worked with those. That's my mindset for it.
Yeah.
You just have to be the best in that. And you have more control with sellers. You don't have to drive around everywhere. I put very limited miles in my car. Like, I wasn't driving. The deals I did, if I just handled buyers, I'd have well over 100,000 miles in my car a year. And I don't know if I'd put 4,000 or 5,000 miles in my car a year. Okay. It's a huge difference on how you can structure your life. That's how you break it down to 20 hours, because you're not a firefighter. Oh, we got to do this home inspection. Oh, this house just came on the market. We got to go do this now. You control your time better. And that's why I like the listing aspect. It took less time. I controlled my time better. I didn't have people flaking out on me. I had contracts with people. Okay. And now you can do the buyers too, but I had my sign in their yard. I had advertisements out there.
You're established to sell their house, right? Basically decided, like, if this house is going to sell, I'm going to sell it.
Right. And that's you just start, that's what you get into.
Yeah.
And eventually it turns into, you have the confidence and experience but you just that's the focus is. It's less time, more control. Are they harder to get? Yeah, they can't. Yeah, they can be, but those are the people that I'd rather work with.
So give us one conversation we can have with people to encourage them to sell.
See, that's not the approach too. I
Sure.
don't want to encourage them to sell. I want to
Sure.
know that they want to sell. I want to get in front of the people who actually just want to sell,
Yeah.
have the conversation. So there's a different approaches to get in front of the people who actually do want to sell, not convince them to sell. No. My job is not to convince them to sell. My job is to help people with the decision that they've already made. And the decision is to move. Now I changed that eventually to I'm here to help people with the transaction from a decision that's already been made. I'm just walking them through a transaction. They made the decision to move. That's it. I'm just walking them through that process is how I look at that as. I just have to find the people who want to move, show them how I'm the best resource for them to help them out with their decision.
Sure. So then I'll change my question. The good approach, really good approach. Instead of like going out there chasing people and convincing people, hey, you just find the people that have already decided, right?
Yeah.
So tell us one way we can find people that probably potential bucket where we can look into where there are potentially people who have decided to move already. I'm sure you have plenty because that's the side of the business you're coming for. Just give us the one top that you think a lot of people are not leveraging right now.
Geographic farming. Mailing.
Yeah.
Have the right mailings. They're expensive, and you have to have a target market for this. If you just want to start random mailing crap out to people, no, it's expensive, and and it really takes like 2 to 5 years to really break into an area for mailings. But
So
that's
who
why
you target?
well, see, you have to have the other marketing aspects out there. You have to be seen in other ways. The mailing's the on top of it. Oh, I want to do some grocery cart advertisements or a billboard. Now that's like the cherry on top. That's where they've seen you everywhere else, and that's the idea of it. They keep seeing you. When it comes to real estate, they think of you. And mine was most of my appointments were always marketing based, so I didn't know who these people were. I didn't have a prior relationship with almost everybody. Like, let's say 9 out of 10 people I was working with. I didn't have any prior relationship with them. So I just found people who wanted to sell and showed them how to get from point A to point B. But then also I'm the local agent with, I'm the expert in the area is how I wanted to put that out there to people. So they would come to me for a lot of other things too. And that's where I build certain relationships. They come to me. And that's why be the expert in your area. If you have an association you're part of, be on the board of directors of that association. Be the president of the board of the association. Do anything that you can get involved with the community where people will see you in the area that you want to work.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's a challenge, but target marketing with a geographic farm and mailings to homeowners. They own the home. You can look up the data.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways you can pull up certain databases that people are more or less likely to move. But to me, it's like everybody's going to move at some point. Okay. So it's identifying those areas and those people and doing all the other marketing activities to make those, just to say certain mailing marketing pieces work way better. It takes time.
Thank you. That's actually, I think a lot of people, like even I would undermine it, right? Like direct mail marketing that are probably not leveraged as it should, especially targeted geo farming, right?
It has to be targeted, the most highly targeted, because that's where you get your money's worth out of it. And you have to make sure the marketing material and pieces really solve the potential client's problems and show how you're the best solution for it. And that's marketing. It's an art. It's really an art in finding who does it the best. And how many pieces of mail do you get from real estate agents right now on a regular basis?
Honestly, don't see it as it looks like a marketing.
It's too expensive. It's too expensive for a lot of people to do. So they find every other aspect of it. And this is where you invest in your business. At a certain point, you're investing in things that most people won't invest in, and that's how you get more business. But it doesn't start there. You start with other things. You build up to certain levels of that, because then you have the income to do it, because you don't do this unless you don't have the income to do it. You don't do it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Brian, for your
You're
time.
welcome.
Again, I would love to get you on for a training, maybe on the podcast on how to get sellers,
Sure.
based on your
Sure.
book. But, those of you who are interested in Brian's book, $500,000 Agent, Half Millionaire Agent, right? Uh, uh, Hopefully, I got that right. But I definitely look forward to doing more collaboration with you. Being in EXP, that's one of the things that I love about EXP. Reaching out over the last 1 year since we joined, to people like, hey, I want to get you on podcasts. This is by default, like, of course I'm in, right? Compared to like other environments where I feel like there is always a competition factor, like, oh, I don't want to share my stuff, right? What I do, how I do it, right? It's always this big shiny object, like you got to get in the club to get it, right? So that's what I especially love about EXP is people are so open book, right?
Okay.
And definitely would love to have you share
Sure.
your best
Let's do it.
practices. I think it'll be a big value add, especially for my audience, because I really didn't specifically go after sellers over the last 10 years. So thank you again. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate that. You joining in this early morning and making it work for you. Looking forward to do more with you in the future, more episodes.
Appreciate you having me. And yeah, just like anything else, if somebody wants to get a hold of me, schedule a time with me. You got my links. And if anybody else wants to talk to me, reach out to me. If you can't find my information out there in the world, then
Oh
I
yeah,
probably don't exist. But reach out, and yeah, you got my link. If you want to schedule another time, let's just do it.
sure. Brian Ernst, you can find him on all social media platforms, and of course, you reach out to him if you feel like he can add value to your business. If you're especially this whole 1 hour, he's been talking about sellers. So if you are someone who been going after sellers or want to go after sellers, reach out to Brian for sure. All right, thanks, Brian.
Thank
Thanks for your
you.
time. Yeah.